Yes, and good evening, and welcome to the most chaotic political show on YouTube, where I talk an awful lot of nonsense, Philip talks sense, and we have a legend in our midst, a man that is a best-selling author, and he's decided to come on to our scrappy little channel. But we are going to talk all things around the world. We're going to talk about how Donald Trump is getting on Philip's nerves, either for his dancing or just because he's Donald Trump. We're going to speak to Ronan about Micheál Martin. Will he ever grow hair? Or will he ever leave the job as Taoiseach? And I'm just going to talk absolute crap. So there you go. That is what tonight's show. If you like that, then that is it. Philip, how are you this evening, sir?
Yeah, I'm grand. I don't know what to say after that introduction now. I think that's different. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just post-American visitors where I got some very interesting insights how things are going over there. So yeah, a lot of people are not happy.
No, and of course below we have the best-selling author in Ireland, a legend, a reporting genius, a journalist legend, as well as an author. He's just
who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Philip. Where are you, Philip? Where's your book? Yeah, this man he's just wrote a book on Sean Lemass. It is the best-selling book in Ireland so far. It is a cracking read, though he never sent us a copy. But it is a cracking read. But do you want to tell us a bit about it, Ronan, first, about the book and the inspiration why you wrote the book in the first place? I'm sorry, I was only joking, by the way.
No, it's all right. Well, look, this is the new book that has just come out last week. It's called Sean Lemass, The Lost Memoir. And some of you and your readers will be familiar with Sean Lemass. He is the most highly regarded Taoiseach in Irish history. A man who took over in 1959. He was Taoiseach until 1966, which is 7 years. But in reality, his influence on Irish society extends back to 1932 when he was the Minister for Industry and Commerce. He was a man who dragged Ireland from the depths of despair in the late 1950s when 40,000 people a year were leaving the country, and the country appeared to have no plan to make the best of Irish independence. By the time he left office, in the years between 57 and 67, the Irish economy doubled in size, and so did the exports. He built a rapprochement with the North by going to visit Terence O'Neill in 1965. He had two visits with John F. Kennedy, the first one in 63. In June 63, the first time a sitting Taoiseach arrived in Ireland, and then he made a reciprocal visit in October 1963. Three other things I'll mention very briefly that is part of his legacy. He was the Taoiseach who first committed Irish troops to UN peacekeeping operations. He made it his life's work as Taoiseach to get Ireland into the European Economic Community. He didn't succeed in that, not through any fault of his own, but because de Gaulle didn't want the British, and the British were regarded, and Ireland regarded as essentially a single market. And the third thing he did very late in his Taoiseachship was to bring in free education in this country at secondary school level, which had a transformational impact on Irish society. So I had the pleasure last week of launching the book in the National Library of Ireland, and the launch was done by the Taoiseach. The reason being, of course, that I would have asked whoever had been the sitting Taoiseach to have done it, but as it turns out, Micheál Martin is a huge fan of Sean Lemass. Micheál Martin's also a historian. He was a historian before he was a politician, so he understands the importance of this book and the importance of Sean Lemass's legacy to Ireland.
Nice. I mean, a man that was also in the War of Independence, may I add, as well, and he was involved in that.
A man who's in the GPO in 1916, at the age of 16, a man who spoiler alert, but I have determined, I think without fear of contradiction, that he was involved in the killing of a British agent, Geoffrey Bagley, on Bloody Sunday in 1920. He was captured by the British, released after the truce, and then he was involved in the Civil War. In fact, he was in the Four Courts when the Civil War broke out in 1922. He was captured, he escaped, etc. He ended up in Curragh Camp. He ended up in the Glass House, which is the torture chamber. And if that wasn't enough excitement for one man's life, he he accidentally shot and killed his own brother, a baby brother, Herbert Lemass, in 1916. And his brother Noel was murdered by Free State forces after the Civil War in July 1923, and his remains were found in the Dublin Mountain in October 1923. He's already lived about 3 lives before he even entered politics in 1923.
That's fascinating
He,
stuff.
he really is, Philip, isn't he? He's a man that remolded Ireland to what it is today. He laid the foundations
Absolutely.
for the current Ireland that we have now.
We owe a debt of gratitude to that man, because where would we be without his?
I don't know, Philip, and that's the truth. I mean, if he hadn't come along when he came along, God knows what would have happened to this country, because only he had the political clout, the nous, the drive, the ruthlessness to sort of confront the fact that the country wasn't going in the right direction and that things had to change. Some of them were forced. Some of those changes were forced by circumstances, in the sense that, like, something had to be done to reverse the sort of economic quagmire that Ireland was in. But I mean, if you talk about his legacy, when he in 1961, which is the last census, when he was in office, the population of the state fell to its lowest level, which is 2.8 million, and we're on course to double that, maybe this year or next year. And I think that when you look at the population increases in the state from 61 to 71, that's the first time that the population starts to increase, and it keeps increasing. Small decrease in the 1980s, but it keeps increasing and increasing and increasing, and people are wealth, and people, we're now a net importer of people rather than a net exporter of people. And he really does deserve the greatest credit for this, and it's the honor of my life to have had the opportunity to edit this memoir. This is his own take on his own political extraordinary political career, and he has so many fascinating insights that are just as relevant today as they were when he first recorded them in the 1960s.
And also a little nod to the 80s. He was Charlie Harty's father-in-law, because Charlie Harty did marry his daughter as well. There's a link there between him and Jack Lynch, and then the fight for the leadership when Charlie Harty did get it, for whatever reason, how he got it. One question, then, Philip, if you've got a question, and then we'll move on for it. I would love to know what he really thought of Charlie Harty and the stuff that he got up to, because his daughter seemed a very lovely woman,
She was
nice woman, a quiet woman. And then you had this man, flamboyant, and had this long-term affair and ran the country like a dictatorship, where he was more gentle. He was more, I'm doing it for the best of Ireland. His son-in-law, I'm doing it for the best of myself. I mean, how do you think he would have looked upon that?
I think he would have been.
Sort of mind?
I think he would have been disgusted, frankly. I mean, I have to say that in my book, the interviews finish up in early 1969. So we all that other stuff, like for instance the arms trial in 1970, his expulsion from the party, all the scandals that followed. Obviously, Lemass didn't have a crystal ball. He couldn't see any of this stuff, but he does make some interesting observations about Haughey in the book, and he thinks that Haughey should really never have got into politics in the first place, that Haughey was in essence a businessman. I mean, there's a famous story in the book where he says, there's a vacancy for a junior ministerial role in 1961 to help Oscar Traynor, who was very, very old at that stage, with legislation. And Lemass wanted Sean Flanagan, who was a former Mayo footballer. He was a Mayo TD, and his cabinet wanted Charles Haughey, and Lemass was very circumspect about this, because he didn't want to feel that he didn't want to be accused of nepotism. But actually, the cabinet actually had the final say in those days over who were the junior ministers, and they said that Haughey should be in the role. And as it turned out, it was probably the right decision. I mean, Haughey was a man of considerable ability, and he brought in very far-ranging legislation when he was Minister for Justice in the Lemass government. The most, particularly in relation to the Succession Act. Prior to that, a husband didn't have to leave anything to his wife. He could leave it to the church. He could leave it to his kids. He could leave it to the dog's home. And that was part of the legislation that Haughey brought in. So, Haughey had a lot of ability. Unfortunately, when he was Taoiseach, we had the talent. And the other thing I would say in defence of Haughey, and I'm not a fan of what he did, but if you look at his government between 87 and 92, not the first two governments he was involved in, the one from 87 to 92, that was a very transformational government for the right reasons.
He
brought in the national agreements, whereby basically there would be wage moderation in return for, that the government would start cutting taxes. He also undid a lot of the damage that had been done in the 80s with overspending in various different departments. So by the time he finished up in office in 1992, he had a transformational impact as well. The problem is, of course, that whereas Sean Lemass was unreproachable in terms of his personal propriety, Charles Haughey wasn't. And that, unfortunately, is the legacy that the Charlie Haughey has now, as somebody who took £1 million from Ben Dunn and so on and so forth. So, so it is interesting. I mean, a lot of people have asked that question over the years as to what he thought of Haughey. There are some cameos in this, but you have to remember that Haughey was not a senior politician really by the time he was given these interviews, except to say that he did not favour Haughey taking over as Taoiseach when he retired in 1967. His first choice was George Colley. When Colley was not acceptable to a lot of members of the party, Jack Lynch came in as the sort of the compromise candidate. And what he says about Haughey in the book is basically Haughey never really pressed his case for being Taoiseach because he was only 41 at that stage. And, Lemass felt, and he was right about this, that the position of Taoiseach would come to Charlie Haughey at some stage later in his career. That really what he was doing in 66 was just put down a marker for future campaigns. But of course, Lynch was in charge then for 13 years, and he was basically driven out of office in the end.
He was, and also brought in the free travel pass, didn't he, Philip? He did bring that in as well.
And the artist exemption, and Temple Bar, and the the services, what do you call it, the
IFSC.
Yeah, IFSC. So he did some good work, but I'm not trying to defend him or defend his legacy here. I'm just trying to say to you that, he was transformational his own way, Charlie Haughey, but his entire sort of whatever achievements he had in office were overshadowed by his personal behaviour.
That sounds like your next project, Ronan. Doing a book on
Sorry?
Charlie Haughey. Your next project could be doing a book on Charlie
No,
Haughey.
it's already been.
It's been done.
Done by Gary Murphy, who is, and I think that Vincent Brown is doing his own book on Haughey. The problem with Haughey is that he never left any account of his own actions for posterity. None that I'm aware of. Unlike Lemass, who sought to through this memoir, give an account of his own life. So basically, you're dealing with a man who just never apologized and never explained his actions, and that's why he's such a difficult subject to write a book about. But I would recommend Gary Murphy's massive tome on Haughey, because it's very fair-minded and it balances Haughey's sort of personal impropriety with his real achievements in office.
Well, anyway,
there was a very good TV program, wasn't there, Philip? A three-parter that a fella that he's an Irish actor. He starred in Game of Thrones. They did a three-part on Charlie Haughey.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember
that. It's live on YouTube. If you search it, you can find the 3 episodes on YouTube, the full episodes on it. I mean, Philip, look very quickly on this. You've seen a lot. I'm not meaning this to be rude, but you were probably around the time a little boy with Sean Lemass in, or just after. what were your memories of Ireland back then in them days with him in charge,
Yeah.
or just after? What was your memories of it like?
You see, the thing is, I wasn't living in Ireland at that stage. We were living in. We'd moved to England for a few years, so I came back after Lamass had left office. Jack Lynch would have been in charge when we came back. So my memories of politics in Ireland really start in 1972. So I'm probably a bit, beyond the thing, But from that on, I've got a good memory of it. But no, I haven't really got a memory of Sean Lamass. But I think I was in Easton's in Dublin last week. And I was looking at the going down the books as I always do, and it was great to see Sean Lamass, the lost memoir by Ronan McGreevy, sitting there in the bestsellers group. So well
thank
done,
you.
Ronan.
Yeah,
I'll have to put on the filters here to stop you seeing me blushing. Yeah, but yeah, look, it was great. Thanks for asking me about it, lad. So I'm excited about it because I think he was an extraordinary man. I really do.
Well, I think you're a great journalist. I was reading some of your stuff the other week. I was telling my other half you come onto this podcast with us, and she knew who you were. And she said because her and her dad talk about politics all the time, and he knew who you were as well. So you're quite of a legend in this household and in my partner's household as well over the years. Big up to Gerard. Just very quickly on this, and then we move on because I want to talk about the Irish government and what they've done this week and the lack of what they've done. And I think Sinn Féin may have hit the nail on the head. I don't know if Philip is going to agree with me or not. That should be fun. But we will get to that point. Big up, Gerard. He says, what did you think of Charlie's relationship with Maggie Thatcher? It was weird. As a kid, I found it weird. I just, as a young kid, my household's very Republican, very much, for United Ireland. And we just thought he was a bit of a sellout. Now, that's from a child's point of view and my parents' point of view. Ronan and Philip, from an older sort of, probably a bit older than me, what was your views on it back then? Philip, do you want to go first on that? What was your views on that? Is a sellout the right? Is me calling him selling out? Is that a bit harsh on him?
It is, I'm afraid. I think it is.
That's fair.
Okay, so like Thatcher and Haughey famously hit it off very well when Haughey became Taoiseach in 79. He bought, do you remember the teapot Summit? He bought her some kind of a silver teapot, which she really liked. The trouble was that there was a famous incident whereby basically they agreed some kind of talks about the future in Northern Ireland, which Haughey had oversold as being this sort of constitutional thing where everything was on the table. And she was absolutely furious about that because she had no intention at any stage of ever giving up the North in any kind of constitutional arrangement. And so they fell out over that. And then, when she preferred Haughey to Gareth Fitzgerald. I mean, she found Gareth Fitzgerald a bit of a bore, to be honest. But she did, in fairness to her, I can't believe I'm defending Maggie Thatcher, but here you go. She did sign the Anglo-Irish Agreement in 1985, which was the first time that an Irish government had a consultative role in the North. And as we know, the Unionist population ferociously opposed it, and then Haughey opposed it as well, the Anglo-Irish Agreement and all the rest. But actually, typical of Haughey, he actually changed his mind once he got into office. He started to implement it himself, and Haughey actually began the peace process, in around 1988 with Father Reid in Belfast. Sorry, there's a bit of banging going on in the background. Father Reid in Belfast. So. No, he didn't have a great relationship with her. I don't think any Irish Taoiseach would have at that stage. I mean, Thatcher saw the North simply as a security issue that had to be dealt with, and she was always critical of the Irish government's handling of the security issues. But actually, in fact, Gareth Fitzgerald, it was a major achievement, the Anglo-Irish Agreement, because it basically meant that that Britain was not so much ceding sovereignty, but was now involving the Republic of Ireland in all its decisions about the North, and that has continued to this day.
It has.
Good answer.
What do you, Philip? What's your views on it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I can't think of two more polar opposites of Charlie Haughey and Maggie Thatcher. One was the lovable rogue, and the other one was the Iron Lady. And I think you're right. I think she did have a little sneaking admiration for him, but and also the fact that she didn't really get on too well with Gareth Fitzgerald. But I think Maggie's legacy with Ireland will not be a favourable one overall. I think. I think she was one of the least favourite British prime ministers of all time. I'd say she's nearly up there with what the Irish think of Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Don't get me onto that. What did you guys think of his response in the White House? Did you think it was a diplomatic one?
Yeah.
What he said.
He did as well as he could, I think. I don't think there was no major blunders. There was no major international incidents caused by anything he said. He defended Keir Starmer, which was, I think, good.
He did.
Yeah. I think. He must have gone in there absolutely creasing himself, wondering how's this going to go. Because you don't know. You're going into the most unpredictable person on earth. How is he going to react to what I say? I think, in all fairness to him, I think he did okay. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he did very well. He stood up for Keir Starmer. He also, as you said, he also stood up for Europe's immigration policies, pointing out basically that most European immigration is between different countries in Europe. And I thought he did really, really well. There's a quote actually from Lemass in the book when he talks about meeting Eisenhower and Kennedy. He says, anytime I met an American president, I was conscious of the fact that he was the most powerful man in the world, even if he was an idiot, and that on his shoulders lay the fate of humanity. And of course, like when Lemass was around, America had sane presidents. They had Eisenhower and the Kennedy and the Johnson, whatever you think about their merits as politicians, they were serious, sane people, So he was very prescient about that. You do have to realize that you're not the one that has the cards, as Trump said of Zelensky. And I think Micheál Martin did a really good job in the White House, as good as could be expected in the circumstances.
Yeah, that's good.
I think he did. Can I just say, Gerald, I can neither confirm or deny was I part of the construction party back in the day. That is locked in government Secret Service vaults. So yes, I can confirm Philip was part of it, but he was the leader. Yeah, so I'm just letting you. And Ronan also can neither confirm or deny, but Philip was part of it. And he also asked, just very quickly before we get on, big up to, he said, who brought in the medical card? That's Charlie Haughey, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. I think.
Yeah.
Am I right in that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, he says, Dermo, what did you think of Trump's comment about our dear Catherine?
I called her a him.
Yeah. Now, we all know Donald Trump's a bit of a what can he be? What would you call him, Philip? You're his biggest fan.
How long have you got? Probably the least sane person in a responsible position in the history of mankind.
Well, if you can't make a difference between a man and a woman, we have serious problems.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't read. He doesn't know. He doesn't read.
He didn't know. He did not know who the president of Ireland was. Yeah,
he's not filled in on these things. That details don't matter to him. He's never read a book, so how would he expect to know that?
Now, I know our time with you is tight tonight, Ronan. So me and Philip will probably carry on, if that's all right, Philip, for a few minutes and talk about other things. But we will get on to Ukraine because I know you have information and it's something important.
Yeah.
Just very quickly before we get to you, Ronan, Philip, look, Donald Trump famously said, as Ronan said in the White House to Zelensky, you don't hold the cards. Isn't it funny? A year later, he is the man holding the cards.
It seems to be they're providing the drone technology for the US to take out the Iranian stuff, and but like it all seems to be still loaded. I mean, the only politician on earth that Donald Trump has not criticized so far is Vladimir Putin, who is the one he should be criticizing. So everything just seems to be geared for America to assist Russia. Even the price of oil now is benefiting the Russian coffers. So I think Zelensky holds the aces, but Ronan can probably fill us in on how things are going in the battlefield now.
Yeah, I think it's. I think we've all been distracted. I think by what's been going on in Iran, understandably enough, in the last couple of weeks. But I think there's been some significant updates in the Ukrainian war. The Germans, or sorry, the Russians began their spring offensive. Some people say it's St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March, and that day they lost 1,660 men confirmed killed. Right in the first 3 days of that offensive, they lost 5,000 men. They didn't even get to the line of contact with the Ukrainians. The reason for that being that the Ukrainians have so developed their drone technology that the Russians can't move. They can't move forward on the battlefield. In the last couple of weeks, the Ukrainians have taken back 440 kilometers of their own territory, particularly in the region of Dnipropetrovsk, I think is how they can. I'm having some problems saying that. In the Donbass region, where the Russians are trying to break through, they had 500 men in one assault brigade, and every single one of them was wiped out, plus all their equipment. In the meantime, the Ukrainians are also targeting the Russian Baltic seaports, and they have done significant damage to 3 Baltic seaports. And the significance of this is that the Ukrainians are now flying drones with impunity and targeting Russian oil facilities. Now, it's a race against time, because the genius in the White House has given the Russians basically a way out of their financial problems, because the price of oil and gas has risen substantially, and apparently I read somewhere where there's $800 million in extra revenue a day that the Russians are receiving because of the price of oil and gas. So while the price of oil and gas rises, the Ukrainians are really stepping up their attempts to destroy the Russian oil and gas infrastructure. Apparently, from some figures I've seen, they have destroyed 40% of the refining capacity in these 3 ports on the Baltic Sea. And these drones were able to fly over 1,000 kilometers. So I'm not saying that Ukraine is winning, but I'm telling you that Russia is losing troops at the moment in a way that hasn't been seen on the battlefields of anywhere since the Second World War. And the question is now is, how long are they going to sustain these losses before there's a mutiny, or before Putin actually is removed in a coup, because it isn't working for them at the moment militarily on the battlefield.
And none of that is making its way into the headlines at the moment. It seems to have been buried because of the Iran situation. That's fascinating news, Ronan. That's great news for Ukraine. Really is great news.
Well, I mean, the Russian spring offensive, it was due. I mean, they're trying to take the fortress belt in Donbass, which is these 3 or 4 cities that are heavily fortified. They've gotten nowhere. I mean, literally nowhere so far. Their losses have been absolutely astronomical. And now they've got to the stage where the Ukrainians are killing more Russian soldiers that are being recruited on a daily basis. And it's gone so badly that, maybe we're not Kremlinologists, but apparently Putin has fled, or last week he fled Moscow for St. Petersburg. Nobody could find him or know where he was, and there were rumors that there was a coup brewing against him. Now, I don't know whether that is the case or not. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet, but things are not looking good for the Russians at the moment at all.
I can't help but think of the film back in the 1990s of Enemy at the Gates.
Yeah,
the siege of Stalingrad. It seems to be roughly the same thing. The guys have been treated. The Russian soldiers are basically cannon fodder.
They're cannon fodder, and this is absolutely true. This is what they are. I mean, you wonder how the Ukrainians can come up with these figures. the vast majority of Ukrainians are being taken out with first-person drones, right? And they're recording those deaths. If you get hit by a drone, you're a dead man, basically. And they're able to ascertain these deaths because because all of these drones are fitted with cameras as well. So it's absolutely astonishing. And also, in the old battlefields, it used to be a sort of 1-1-1 ratio of killed, wounded, and taken prisoner. It's more like 4-1 at this stage with the Russians, and of course the Ukrainians are able to do this remotely. So the very fact that they have obviously massive disadvantages in terms of men, doesn't matter as much as it used to do on conventional battlefields, because they're fighting very smart at the moment.
Yeah, they really are. Just very quickly, I've just got a bit of breaking news here. Iran says US are plotting ground invasion despite engaging in diplomatic efforts. About 44 minutes ago, it was reported on a couple of Sky News and Al Jazeera as well. We don't know if this is true or not, but they are reporting that Pakistan is set to host US and Iran talks in coming days, says the Pakistan Foreign Minister. But on Al Jazeera, pardon me, Iran says US are plotting ground invasion. Philip, there's electricity blackouts in Tehran. Millions of Iranians are isolated during the war amid a month-long internet shutdown. And we're facing here, aren't we, with the electricity, with fuel going up. I mean, I don't have a car at the moment. God help anyone that has a car, but also with the electricity going up as well. And our government to not even help the working people. I'm not saying because I'm on disability allowance and I'm on social welfare, but it's the working people that are being struck out here. What's your views on it, guys? What's your views? Should the government have done more, or have they done enough in your views? What's your sort of view on it?
You go on that one, Roland.
The government is going to run a €5 billion surplus this year, right? So there's plenty of money in the kind of there's plenty of money to deal with this problem. So what they have done in the first instances is that they have given a targeted package of, I think it's about 250 million to hauliers and to people who are already in receipt of the rent allowance, right? Now, you could argue that that's not enough, and it isn't. But the thing is, at the moment, that the way that I see it from the government's perspective, whether you agree with it or not, is that we don't know how long this conflict is going to go on. Right, in the first instance, I mean, you've heard all these peace feelers. So if you, for instance, do a sort of energy credits the way they did during the Ukraine war, you could end up in a situation where this war could be over in 2 weeks. The price of oil and gas is tanks, and people are still getting, their energy credits or whatever. And it's a tough one. It really is. And I know that Sinn Féin voted against these because they felt it wasn't enough. But I think really what the government are doing is, and I'm not defending this, I'm just simply stating it from the way I see it, is that this is, they don't know. They're going to keep their powder dry until this situation gets worse, right? And we don't know whether it's going to get worse. I mean, you hear all these, as you know, you hear all these conflicting statements. It's, there's peace talks, there's this, there's that. And until we know for certain where this war is going, I'd say the government will be sort of keeping, will be keeping their powder dry and using their financial, their financial power, the muscle that they have with this budget surplus down the line when it's needed. That would be my thinking on it.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to agree with you there. I think they're in a rock and a hard place. They can't go long term on this at the moment because they don't know how long. No one knows how long. Even Donald Trump doesn't know how long it's going to last. So if they gave people energy credits and in 2 weeks' time the war is over, then that's going to look a bit foolish. One thing I don't think that they've done enough for. I don't think they've done enough for people with oil central heating. I think they took 2 cents a litre off the price of it, which is pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
Petrol and diesel has come down as much as they can probably do it. So I think it's a tough one. I mean, I know governments are going to get criticised no matter what they do, but I think that they've probably done as much as they possibly can in the short term. Now, if it continues long term, they may have to look at their strategy and do something more.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, Ronnie. Go ahead, because I know you're short for time.
No,
so I'll let you. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that I kind of agree with Philip. It's really tough on people at the moment. You think that 30% of families in this country were in arrears on their energy bills before this war started. This is going to be a very, very serious issue, and then it's going to feed into food prices as sure as night follows day, with the price of fertilizer absolutely rocketing, etc. This is going to be a big issue going forward. But at the moment, I think the government is calibrating its response and reacting to events. They could, for instance, announce a much bigger package, but then what happens if they decide to take it back in 3 or 4 weeks' time? So just watch this space. That's what I'd say to people at the moment.
Yeah. Look, I do agree with you in principle what you guys are saying. I get it. But from somebody that's on probably the lower income, I'm struggling with paying my electricity. I find it too high at the moment. I find food's gone up. Our shopping's gone up dramatically. I mean, the shopping comes on a Friday, and you look at it, you're thinking, did I really spend? I mean, our shopping's over €100 for 3 of us, and it comes, and you're looking at it, and it's not 100. You don't think there's €100 there. Now, I get what Sinn Féin and the opposition are saying. I also understand what you guys are saying, which does make an awful lot of sense. Governments do have to keep the powder dry, and they do have to probably keep something in reserve. But I do feel people that are really struggling, I think they should have got more to help. And also, this should have been done sooner. It shouldn't have been left for weeks and weeks and weeks. They knew the fuel was going up. They should have jumped in then. My question to you guys is that, look, for somebody that's on disability and social welfare, there's been talk around, like, for carers, pensioners, and carers, disability and carers, that we are struggling. We are finding it hard, and everyone on here is probably finding it hard in their own way. But surely we should look after the elderly and the people with oil more than what they have done.
What do you propose, Dermot? What would you do if you were in charge?
Now, if I was in charge, firstly, I would make sure that the fuel allowance was extended longer than what it is. I would make sure that the elderly are looked after first, and the people that get oil, that they're looked after. I would make sure the working people are looked after, because it's the working people that keep this country going.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's all sorted out, I would then look at people on disabilities and carers and see how can we help them. Because as you said, there's, what is it, 30,000, 330,000, did you say, we're in arrears?
Yeah, 30%, yeah.
30%. So I would bring in energy credits, but not for everyone, just for people.
Well, they tried that
low
before,
incomes.
you see. That's the problem.
It doesn't work.
I mean,
Yeah.
you see, the thing about it is, so I don't mean to interrupt you there, Dermot, but
No, it's grand.
you know, I didn't think that those energy credits as a universal benefit was fair. I mean, it should, like, people over a certain income shouldn't have got them, right? But it goes back to the government says it can't do energy credits in a targeted way. This is the only way it can do it. Now, if it could be done, I completely agree with you. Now, the fuel allowance payments have been extended for 4 weeks, so that's up to what, the beginning of, or nearly the beginning. That's the beginning of May, right?
May. Yeah.
So I would imagine that the government, if this war is still going on, God help us, in 4 weeks' time, then I'd imagine that the government will extend those energy those fuel allowance payments. They're going to have to. And that's why I'm saying if they were to announce, say, 500 million instead of 250 million, and the war is over, what are you supposed to do then? So I'd imagine that the fuel allowance will be extended as long as this war goes on.
Yeah. The thing about the fuel allowances, though, the weather is now getting warmer.
Yeah.
So from the end of April, there won't be as much need for central heating or whatever, but it's still going to leave the truckers and the haulage companies who have to bring the goods around the country. I heard one guy on the radio this morning say he has 6 lorries on the road, but he kept 3 of them off the road last week because he just couldn't afford to put them on.
Yeah.
And that's going to mean a shortage of supplies and goods in the shops eventually if it keeps going for much longer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I get it. I get governments are damned if they do and damned if they don't. I understand that. And I'm looking at it from probably my own perspective and how and people are in my situation, and I get that. I just feel, and I'm not trying to look for it from a selfish point of view. I'm trying to think of it for other people in my sort of situations and the low working people as well that are not on high wages, and we all got bills to pay. We're all struggling. All of us are struggling. Us 3 here, people watching, we're all finding it tough at the moment. I just feel that. Yeah, go on, Philip.
No, I just think the fairest way to do it is, okay, the universal, the credits for electricity, you can't do that because, I mean, there's people earning $500,000 a year were getting that. They didn't even know they were getting it.
Yeah.
Whereas the fuel allowance, I believe, is means tested, okay, and is also available to people on social welfare. They're the ones that should be targeted first, and then leave it at that. Don't give it to people that can afford it, because they don't appreciate it for a start, and probably don't even know they're getting it. But I think the means test. Then again, the pressure that puts on the government departments to carry out the tests is going to delay things as well. So maybe there's some way that can be circumvented, you know. But there's no perfect way to this. There's no perfect way.
You get fuel allowance if you're over 66 on a qualifying social welfare or on social, like disability allowance. I can't get it now because there's too much money coming in. Well, there's not too much. It's just my wife's my carer, and that's being appealed at the moment. My mother can't get it because she's €10 over the limit, and she's an old age pensioner. And our partner doesn't work. He's claiming social welfare, and she's €10 over, and they won't give her the fuel allowance. So I feel
that's always been a problem. That's always been a problem, though. Really.
Yeah, and you're right, Philip. It has. And look, I think the government do a lot for us. I admit that, and it's one of the highest social welfare payments in Europe, and I'm grateful for that. But I do feel there's working class people out there that are working, getting up at 5 a.m. with young families that can't afford it, that should get it as well. And I just feel that this war wasn't a war we asked for. It wasn't a war that we really needed. I'm sure there should have been another way to sort it out, but it's to suit Donald Trump's ego. He went into Venezuela and did what he did there. He's now gone into Iran, unstabilized the whole Middle East to a point where they're firing at each other. I saw a funny thing on TikTok the other day of Tom and Jerry, Tom being America and Jerry being Iran. And it was just the funniest thing ever. I mean, Jerry was sticking rockets up America's back. So it was the most funniest bit of cartoon I've seen ever. It was just really funny, like. Then you got the big dog that's coming into Saudi Arabia, banging them both on the head. But
chaps, I'm going to have to interrupt you there to say. Carry on.
Yeah, go on, Ryan. Sorry.
No, carry on. Just say, carry on. Sorry.
I just feel it's to feed his own ego, and that's all I'm going to say. Sorry.
Okay.
I just think
well, guys, on that melancholy note, I'm going to have to leave you. But listen, it's always a pleasure, and we'll put the words to rights very soon again. And thanks very much for having me. Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Pleasure, Ronan. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. We and please get his book. Get his book.
Don't forget
please
the book.
Go out and buy his book.
The Lost Memoir.
It's the best-selling book. It's the.
Thank you, guys.
So well,
nice,
no problem.
Yeah.
Absolute legend, that man. He is an absolute legend, and I miss. He really is.
There we go.
And there is the man, and it is a great, but I'm looking forward to reading it as well, Philip. But look, just to
Yeah.
quickly carry, you're right for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
right
yeah,
to carry
yeah.
on?
Yes,
Just to
sure.
go on, Philip, right? I'm not trying to say poor me here, what I was saying,
Oh, I know that. I
but
know.
I
I know.
do feel people, I just feel that, you know, I think I don't always agree with everything Sinn Féin say, but I think Piers Doherty did have a point when he was saying what he was saying to Simon Harris. And I do feel Simon Harris, as much as I thought he'd done well in the pandemic, that he can be a bit patronising towards them and a bit patronising towards Labour and a bit patronising towards the Social Democrats. Now, maybe people that are watching are Fianna Fáil supporters or Fine Gael supporters, and I'm going to get a load of hate mail for saying it. But surely, in a time of crisis, government should work with the opposition to come to a right middle ground that helps the country. This is not a time for political points. It's a time that they should come together and say, right, let's compromise. And I'm sure if Sinn Féin put an order forward, and I'm sure the government are going to say, no, we're not doing that, but maybe compromise. Am I wrong to say that, Philip, or do you think that
No,
should
it's
happen?
it's an admirable concept to try and get to have, but it's probably never going to happen because the opposition will always try and score points off what they regard as government inaction or they didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
And it would take an absolute crisis. It would take something like 9/11 to happen in this country to bring all the parties together. And even then, I'd be doubtful some of them wouldn't row in behind the government. So it's just the way we are. It's just the way politics are. And it's not just here. It's in the UK. It's even worse in America, as we know. They're completely polarized there. There is no cooperation at all. So while it should happen, unfortunately, I doubt it will. The best they can do is come to a kind of a compromise, a partial compromise that isn't going to cause any more hardship for the people. I take your point about social welfare recipients and old people should be getting the benefit of this extra money to cover the fuel costs. Again, they've partially done it, and that they'll probably say we've done our best we can in the circumstances. It's basically up to the rest of the world to get rid of this Donald Trump syndrome in Iran, is to do what they've done, call out Donald Trump and refuse to help him. Because eventually, I hear rumors at the moment he's losing interest in Iran already. He wants to move on to Cuba. Now, what sort of a president is that? He starts a crisis to keep himself out of the Epstein files and then walks away from it to start another crisis. It's time his own party did something about it. And look up what the 25th Amendment means in America.
Yeah. And the poor Supreme Leader, still unconscious with one leg, doesn't even know what's going on, bless him.
Well, I'll tell you, Supreme Leader with one leg missing and doesn't know what's going on still knows more than what Donald Trump does.
That says a lot about the Supreme Leader or Donald Trump. Just a few questions here, Philip, from Gerard O'Connor. How long will it be before blackouts and fuel shortages? I reckon they're going to come very soon, Philip. Do you know that? I reckon they will.
I think we have a stockpile. I think we've enough of a stockpile. I don't think that will happen. It may happen at, say, maybe in another month's time if things don't improve. But remember this, it's now bright until 8 o'clock. So there's not as much electricity being used as the nights get brighter. Fuel shortages, maybe less central heating fuel being used as the weather gets warmer. So hopefully it won't happen. Now, if this was November and we were going into December and January, I would be very fearful because the usage would be so much heavier than it is at the moment.
Yeah. We've got, it says, is it true they to say trade with the US and Ireland is shrinking? I wouldn't say so, but
no, I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't think so. No. If you've seen the amount of Jameson bottles in the shelves in America, you say definitely not.
No. He also says, what about all these wind farms gaslighting people, telling them that we produce over 30 per food of all electricity for the grid? I don't think them things work, Philip, if I'm being honest.
No, they work, but I don't think the 30% is a way too high. I mean, these things only work in high ground areas and where there's a fair bit of wind on the coast. So I'd say maybe in 5 years' time, maybe, but not anymore. Not at the moment.
They
Who
have a
owns
load
the
of them in
US?
Dublin, out in Dublin Bay, don't they? As you go out, you get the boat out of Dublin Port. There's a load out there.
There's a load of them off the Isle of Man, and there's a load of them on the west coast of Ireland where the wind is quite
Yeah.
strong. And also, there's
The-
parts of the higher ground it's on as well.
Yeah, there's a load. There's a load in Kilmuckridge down this beach in Kilmuckridge. There's a load of them down there. Absolutely down there. I didn't know they were down there. Went down a while ago. He says, who runs the ESB? I think the government own the ESB
I
now,
think
don't
they
they?
do, yeah. I'm not so sure because it's now Electric Island, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. My father-in-law worked in the ESB for years. I'll ask him tomorrow because we're meeting him for coffee. So I will ask him tomorrow.
Yeah,
who
ask
runs
him.
the
I'm not so
ESB.
sure who owns ESB now.
Yeah.
No.
Can't the government cut the price of electricity?
The only way they
think
can do that is reduce the VAT rate on us.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that.
No.
And then he says, can't they cut the unit rate?
No. See, what's going to happen now is at the moment, electricity has not gone up in price. But as oil is used in the generation of electricity in some parts, that will happen. There will be a gradual increase in the price of electricity over the next few weeks. So again, it's
so yeah, we're going to finish up. Yeah, go on, Phil.
It's putting the ball in the government's court
Yeah.
there. If there is a complete rise, then the question
Look,
will be asked.
we are going to finish up
it.
soon. We're just going to.
There's be a lag there on the line, I think.
Yeah, we are going to finish off very quickly. Two more things to go through. Yeah, just on Iran, Philip, with this Iran plotting ground invasions despite engaging in diplomatic efforts. I want to finish on the Artemis launch on Wednesday, so I want to really finish on a positive note. Are we now seeing our version of Vietnam if USA put troops in Iran?
Yeah. I mean, I think if America put boots on the ground in Iran, it would be the most irresponsible act. I mean, Vietnam generically started. I mean, there's probably reasons Vietnam started. There is no reason, absolutely no reason on this goddamn earth to put American boots on the ground in Iran. And if they do, it's going to make Vietnam look like a children's tea party. And it's because Iran, they're waiting for them. Iran's army is 1 million men strong. They're sending 2,500 Marines in. 2,500 against 1 million is not going to be a fight. It's going to be over very quickly.
Apparently, there's the IRGC army and there's the National Army. Apparently, the National Army are revolting and going to join.
I think there'll be enough soldiers that aren't revolting to put down any amount of American soldiers to come. And when the body bags start hitting America, people might finally realize what their president has put them into. You know, it's okay. He's a 5-time draft dodger, right? And he said, it's okay for me not to join the army, but I want your son to go out there and give the ultimate sacrifice. That's savage.
There is people like, I know, I get that. And there's people like I watch Tusi. I sent you the link for him.
I'm watching him. Yeah.
What do you think of him? I think he's very good, actually. I like him. He's funny.
He's good. He has some amount of subscribers, so he's obviously doing something right. He's very good. He's very good.
And I think he is very good in these points, isn't he? To the point. Yeah. I know he's a bit pro-American, pro-Israel, but I think
there's so much stuff not coming out. I read this evening now that it's illegal in Dubai to post a video of any attack by a missile, punishable by imprisonment. The same thing seems to be happening in Israel as well, because nothing's coming out of there, even though Tel Aviv is supposed to be pounded by Israeli or Iranian missiles. So there's an awful lot of stuff we're not hearing about because of a kind of a news blockade, if you want to call it that. And we'll not hear the full story until it's all over. Are we lagging on the line, Dermot, or?
Maybe because I was just reading some top and breaking news. Sorry, that was my fault. That was my fault, Philip. Sorry. I want to finish. Let's finish on some positive news, shall we? 50 years ago, or 50 odd years ago, little Philip was watching the telly and watching man land on the moon. Bewildered by what he was watching, thinking it was Star Trek in life. Probably was. No, was it around Star Trek or after Star Trek? Anyway, men went boldly where no man has gone before. Well, they're about to send a woman up there now, and about the art, and we're going to see the first woman around the moon, the first man of color, which I think is disgraceful. I think it's disgraceful that they've waited this long, Philip, to do it. If I'm being honest, but Artemis 2, after all its issues, will launch on April the 1st. I'm
I hope
hoping
that's
that
not
we
an
can bring
omen.
it live and watch the launch
hope-
live on YouTube, Philip.
I hope that date is
Huh?
not an omen. I hope that date is not an omen. April Fool's Day.
Well, you tell me. You tell me, because they did launch a rocket. They did Apollo 13. They launched it on Friday the 13th at 13 something hours.
Yeah,
And we know what
That
happened
didn't
there.
go too well.
They came
Yeah.
back. Now, it's something me and Philip are hoping to stream live if we can, and I hope we can on Wednesday. I really hope, because I
Mhm.
think as something, Philip, we should do. I'm excited. I cannot wait for this. This is like I'm nearly 50 next year, and I'm now getting my moon moment. That
Yeah.
I'm going to be alive to see man walk on the moon. This
Yeah,
is going to be the second time around for you.
But this is only a
If you
trip
could
through the
say
moon,
to
though.
you,
They're not actually landing on the moon. They're just going around it.
but-
They're not going to land.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, in next year they're going to land on the moon. But
Right.
you went through this before with Apollo
Yeah.
10.
I saw
if you-
1969. 1969.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those dates that ingrained in your memory. And all we had at that stage was you saw a grainy picture in black and white, or grey and white, of a man coming down a ladder and speaking slowly, giant step for man, and the other usual stuff that he said for mankind. And now when they go, at least we're going to get pictures back they'll be in high definition, and we'll be able to see an awful lot more than we ever did. But it is really exciting, and it's great they're going back. And I'm quite shocked the way things are in the States. They're actually allowing a woman and a person of color to go, because that is going against the grain in what's happening in America at the moment.
Yeah. So if you could, I suppose you look, you will sit down with your grandkids and watch this, Philip. But if you could tell your younger self that you'd be watching it again,
Yeah.
what would younger Philip be saying to you now? Would he believe you, or would he think, "Are you sure we haven't gone back since?" Do you know what I mean? What would younger you be thinking about this now? Because
I'll be saying, what
excited.
happened what happened since 1974? What happened in the 50 years that they haven't been going? The space program was shelved. Okay, I can understand why, with the cost of it, But now I'm just wondering what has brought it back now. It's great to see it, but I'm just
Donald
wondering,
Trump.
is
Donald
it being
Trump
finalized? Is it being financed by private money? Or
Yeah,
is
it is.
who's financing this? Private money, I would think.
Donald Trump's the one that brought it back. In his first term, he went to NASA, "I want you to go back to the moon." And it's
He
taken
doesn't
him
want a
this
job as an
long to
astronaut,
get
does
this
he?
far.
He doesn't want a job as an
He may
astronaut,
do.
does he?
It may do. I tell you one thing I'm looking forward to, Philip, is I'm looking forward to it probably putting it to bed. Did we go 50 years ago? Because I'm sure there will be some sort of way they would say that the stuff that's left on the moon, they'll be able to show a picture of it.
Yeah. Oh no,
Where
we
Apollo
went.
11
We definitely went. That's conspiracy theory
No,
about
but there
had
is
been
people
filmed
that
in
don't believe
Hollywood
that,
is not
Philip.
true,
Yeah, there is people that don't believe that. But
Oh yeah, there
if
is.
we
There is.
can
There is. Yeah.
look, I want to. Hopefully, we can do a show in it, a live viewing of it, Philip. Because
Hopefully. What
I-
time is it? What time is
I-
it launching at?
I don't know. That's the thing. It was just broke there that 4 astronauts from Artemis are answering questions, and they're 80% go for Wednesday.
Only
So,
80%.
We still got the 20%, but
Yeah.
I think it's. I don't know. Hang on. Let me ask my. Let me ask Google. So I will ask Google, and Google's going to get an appearance. Hang on. Just let me. What time is the moon launch on Wednesday? It's It's a 6:24 p.m. EDT.
That's
So,
1:24 here. 1:24 in the afternoon here. Oh no,
No,
sorry.
25
6:24 in the evening.
No, it's
6:24
6
p.m.
in the evening in the middle. It's 25 past 10 GMT.
Right. No, that's our time changed. I think we're 5 hours different from America now, from the East Coast.
Yeah.
So that'll be, it could be 11:30, but it's late anyway. It's at night. Yeah, we should be able to do something
Yeah.
from that. I'll be home at that stage.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see now. Now, I will let you into a little secret. We're both Spurs fans, as everyone knows, and we all got to find a little hobby. And I've got back into Lego, Philip. Would you believe it or not?
You know,
Now, I
the
know
only
you look
thing I associate Lego with, don't you?
what?
Lego Man.
Lego Man, yes. Well, anyway, Derval, bless her, as a present, has bought me a Lego set of Artemis rocket to build.
Oh, lovely.
So it's a bit of tech now and a bit of Lego. It's coming. Hopefully, she ordered it for me a while ago, so hopefully it'll be here sometime this week or next week. But yeah, I will show you a picture of it once it's done.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Great.
So there you go. Spurs have drove me to Lego.
Well, put it like this: the Spurs players have been playing like Lego since recently.
Yeah.
They're not fitting together very well.
No, they're not. Philip, that's it. That is our political podcast. Big up to Ronan. We plug his book again. What's it called again, Philip?
It's Sean Lemass, The Lost Memoir. And
The Lost Memoir.
It was tapes that Sean Lemass made in 1969.
Yeah.
And Ronan got to know the daughters of the guy that made the tapes, and he spent a number of months editing them down and highlighting bits of various pieces. And it's the reviews for the book are absolutely fantastic, and it's in the bestsellers. So
yeah, and also, will he be in for the prize, the Booker's Prize at the end of the year?
I don't think so. I think Booker Prize is for fiction. This is non-fiction. So.
I think he should be, because he's a fantastic journalist and a fantastic
He's a great guy, and he's off to Flanders again in a couple of weeks on his biannual tour of the Battle of the Somme, various battlefields of the Somme, which I've done the trip, and I mean it's an amazing trip.
I hope he didn't take offence when I said where was our copy. I hope he didn't.
Not at all. No.
I was joking. I was genuinely joking. Well, look, Philip, you and me are off to see if man can fly around the moon, or Tottenham can announce a new manager.
I'd say getting to the moon might be easier.
We will be back next week at the same time, same place. Philip will be still loving Donald Trump. I still will be taking the mickey out of Donald Trump. And Ronan
actually, I'll just show you something. Shows you how much I love the guy.
Oh God, what's this now? Oh, you didn't. Oh, Philip, you didn't.
My son-in-law brought it back from America, and I'm saving it. I'm keeping it here. And when the day comes that Mr. Trump is no longer with us, I will ceremoniously burn it.
What do you mean, no longer with us? No longer president, or no longer going up there or down there?
Whichever comes first.
Oh, that is a bombshell to end all shows. Right, on that bombshell, and we will video that, by the way. We will video it, and we will put it live on YouTube. We will put it up YouTube. YouTube, please do not cancel us. Please do not take us down. We love Donald.
I love him, really.
Yeah, you do. Philip, on that bombshell, we back next week? Or we doing them? You were doing one in the week on Wednesday with the
launch of the rocket. Yeah,
with the rocket. But guys, we are going to leave it there, and then we're back next Sunday, Philip. Are we back next Sunday?
We are indeed, yeah.
Yeah, back next Sunday at 7. Do join us, where we will be talking more politics. But guys, we're going to send you out with something lovely. We didn't talk about it, but I think we should send out that the boys in green did us proud on Tuesday. A defeat maybe is still hurting, and a major tournament still goes on. But in him may we trust. And I never thought me and Philip would say that. But Philip, just to very quickly end off in it.
Yeah.
Euro 2028, here we come. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in Ireland. And watch us not qualify for our own tournament. That would be so Irish.
That would be Irish, all right. Yeah.
That would be. Talk about Spursy. There's Irish. There's Irishy. I don't know. What could you call Ireland or Spursy?
Irishy.
Irishy. On that bombshell. Here's a little tribute to the boys. Come on, you boys in green.
that dream. Every name, every town, stitched together in green. Got the hearts, got the hands.